Hello everybody, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. You already know who I am. I have tried to record this now twice, but the equipment is playing up. But this is the big pre-match preview. It's West Ham versus Tottenham. It's a London derby. It's a big game. I am really looking forward to it. Both sides coming in with a little bit of form. It's going to be much more competitive as a game than I thought a couple of weeks back. West Ham have been in fantastic form. A good performance against Arsenal now translated into a 4-0 win against Wolves, a 3-0 win against Leicester. We're sky high in terms of our performance level coming into this game. Tottenham obviously have registered a great win over Southampton 5-2. You can't look past that 6-1 against Manchester United. They're scoring a lot of goals, even in a defensive-orientated team. So it is an interesting game. But before I get into the lineups, make sure Right, now I've got that one out of the way. Let's get into the lineups. Who I think is going to play for West Ham. And it is pretty statutory, if I'm honest. Moyes doesn't change a winning side. So I expect the same players that played in that 3-4-3 against Leicester to play against Spurs. There won't be a change in system. It doesn't really make too much sense for Moyes to do that. Lucas Fabianski in goal. He's going to be under threat quite a lot in this game, in my opinion. You know, Heung-min Son, Harry Kane, if Gareth Bale plays as well, they're going to look to create space in behind. They're going to look to get shots off from different angles. They're all competent finishers. Fabianski has registered 2 clean sheets, so he's obviously coming into the game with a lot of confidence. But West Ham should look really to employ a low block, try and minimise that space. Have Declan Rice and Souček sitting quite deep and disciplined in front of that. Those 3 centre-backs and supporting the wing-backs as well. West Ham are going to have to be very, very switched on. And Fabianski is going to be under pressure throughout the game, in my opinion. Arthur Masuaku, again, he will keep his space in the side. He's been fantastic at left wing back. He's great going forward, really good delivery. Physically quite good as well. He's really gelled into that side on that left side. And he gives a little bit of defensive security for Pablo Fornals to stay a little bit more offensive, particularly in the opposition third. And thread the ball through to either Mikel Antonio or Jarrod Bowen. And that's going to be crucial for West Ham in creating chances. It is going to be one of them games. We're going to have to be very switched on defensively, and we're going to have to be clinical when we can take those chances. I'm looking at Arthur maybe to exploit that right-hand side if Doherty pushes too much up. Again, he is a right wing-back by trade. He's become a right-back in this system. So there may be that tendency to move forward and leave space. But I'm happy with Arthur starting. I hope he maintains this level of performance. And I'm looking forward to seeing him against Tottenham Hotspur. Aaron Creswell will play on the left side of the centre-backs. I'm not a huge advocate of him in the centre-back position, but I do believe he's done competently in the past few games. He's not great aerially. I don't think that's where Tottenham's main threat's going to come from in this game. They're not really going to look to get crosses in the box and use Harry Kane as an aerial threat. They look to create space in behind. So it is up to Aaron Creswell to support Arthur Masuaku, to minimise the space that someone like a Gareth Bale can move into. And then you can try and nullify Spurs' attack. But obviously I will cover where I think Spurs will try and hit West Ham. In the centre-back position, the main centre-back position, Angelo Ogbonna. He's an absolute leader for us. He's a rock. He's fantastic. His anticipation aerially, his aggressiveness helps West Ham win a lot of the ball. I thought he did brilliantly against Jamie Vardy, against Leicester. He has been a real ever-present in this West Ham side, and you can't look past him playing. He's going to have a game on his hand with Harry Kane. The difference is in this system, or what's happened previously, is where Harry Kane's tried to constantly move in behind. He doesn't have that element of pace anymore. It potentially looking at Heung-min Son and Gareth Bale to create that space. So you're going to have to be switched on, as is the case for the entirety of that back five at times. But you'd have to put your faith in Angelo Ogbonna. On the right side of the centre-backs, Fabian Balbuena. He's coming to the side since Diop's been out, obviously due to coronavirus. I personally think he's been a competent performer. You could look at that Everton game and say he was a bit off in a back two, but I think in a back three he's been solid. He's very good in the air. He is very aggressive. This isn't really the type of game to try and anticipate loose balls. You'll be looking at the 2 centre midfielders to do that. So he's going to have to stay disciplined in this side. But like we saw against Leicester at periods of time when West Ham sat quite deep, Fabian is more than capable of doing it. So, for me, he keeps his place in the side. And at right wing back, obviously, Soufal is going to play. I thought he had a decent performance against Leicester. I haven't seen too much of him. I didn't really see too much of him getting forward, but I thought defensively he was very cute. He is an upgrade on Ryan Fredericks in that sense. And I think maybe it's not necessarily the game to see him in an advanced position. He's going to have to be disciplined. But I do believe his work rate, his defensive attributes are going to be crucial in this game. And particularly if Heung-min Son tries to cut off that left, he's going to be having to look to nullify it. Now, Goes without saying that these two will start in the centre of midfield. Declan Rice, he's had a few critics for England, and always unjustly, in my opinion. He's going to be a real crucial part of this game. And really and truthfully, when you look at Declan, his ability to transition from that defence and the interceptions and the blocks that we've seen him performing, and obviously now trying to get that towards the front three, that's going to be crucial in this game. If West Ham can hit Tottenham on the counter, and when Tottenham open up a little bit, and there won't be too many opportunities to do so, but I do believe Declan's quality of passing, I think his ability to burst through the midfield, which we've seen recently in the last few games, he's going to be really important for us. And defensively, it goes without saying, he's going to have to be very disciplined, and he's going to have to cover for either the fullbacks or look to maybe sit in with the centre-backs and try and make it very difficult for Tottenham to get in behind. Tommy Souček, of course, is going to play. He's always a threat from set pieces, late runs into the box. If West Ham are attacking with that front three, expect Tommy Souček to be not far behind. He tends to find space in the box. He's a constant menace and a constant threat. I'm not sure that this is going to be the game for him to make those late runs. It does depend on how Tottenham try and attack West Ham, whether they want to put the pressure on him, in which case I do think he will find space. But he's going to have to be very disciplined and sitting beside Declan Rice in this game. And he has shown that before. I remember us going away to Old Trafford and him putting in a very similar performance. And he can do that role. And you can never look past the work rate of both of them. The full 90, they're really high rates of performance. And as long as they can keep that up, that level of fitness, I think West Ham can nullify Spurs through the middle. But again, I'll explain why. It could be a little bit tricky. On the left-hand side, now obviously Said Benrahma isn't fit for the game. He obviously didn't get the contract done in time. So Paulo Fornals is going to start on the left-hand side. Very impressed with him against Leicester. His goal was fantastic. The first touch was unreal. The assist as well for the Jared Bowen third was phenomenal as well. I really like him. There's a great work rate there. Obviously, you could argue that maybe the pace isn't there, but I do think in this Tottenham side where you've got two fullbacks that like to bomb on, that Pablo is going to find space, very similar like in the Leicester game where he found space and he popped up. And I think when Pablo gets that space and that time to think, he has got the quality to find either Jared Bowen or Mikel Antonio. So by all means, I'd like to see Benrahma play for West Ham sooner rather than later, but I think Pablo Fornals is more than capable of playing off that left-hand side. And Mikel Antonio, unreal form. Obviously, again, continued his scoring run against Leicester. He's got, I can't remember the stat, but it's something like 10 goals since Project Restart. He's been phenomenal for West Ham. Against Wolves, he just did a number on Saiss and he just turned him on multiple occasions. I'll be looking at him to do that against a back two that I think can be got at in the Davinson Sanchez and Toby Alderweireld, not the most mobile. And Antonio's showing a real completeness to his forward play now. He's getting in the box. He's able to turn players. He can link up play very nicely as well. And he often initiates the press. So, I mean, Mikel Antonio has become absolutely pivotal to West Ham's attacking play. And I'm looking forward to seeing him potentially get another winner against Tottenham Hotspur. And then Jared Bowen. Of course, Jared's going to play off that right-hand side. He's been in fantastic form in the last two games. And you can never criticise Jared Bowen's work rate, his defensive work rate as well. But particularly in these last two games, we've seen him in more offensive positions. He's been clinical in taking his chances and coming off that right and hitting it in with his left. I really like Jared Bowen. I think he's going to get a number of goals this season. I think particularly within this system, he's finding more opportunities in that final third and he's taking them now. And I think he's going into this game feeling very confident, very, very similar to that right-hand side of the Tottenham defence. Reguilón for Spurs is going to bomb on as well and get forward. That's his natural game. That's what we saw for him from Sevilla. So there could be space that opens up on that right-hand side. And you look for Jared Bowen to try and get him behind, jink him, and either find Mikel Antonio or Pablo Fornals. The front three have been in great form. They link up very nicely. So I expect West Ham's attacking threat to still be there for this game when they get the opportunity to do so. Now, of course, I don't want to, but I'm going to have to discuss Spurs' team. Like I've said previously, they've been in fantastic form. They've obviously brought Gareth Bale in. They've brought Pierre Højbjerg in as well from Southampton. I've probably done his name a huge disservice there. And Gareth Bale, Reguilón. There's a number of players they've brought in, and they're looking stronger. They're looking a little bit more complete. Doherty, as I've mentioned as well. Tottenham are going to be a handful, in my opinion, that they've added their attacking quality where they needed it. They're not going to be out and out attack on West Ham, even against, I think it was against Southampton. They weren't necessarily pushing high up the field. They were very fortunate in the fact that Southampton were playing a high line, and Heung-min Son's fantastic in getting in behind, and Harry Kane showing a little bit of difference in his play in terms of becoming a little bit more of a number 10 and linking up very nicely with the attacking players. So Tottenham are looking a better outfit, unfortunately. Let's go through their team. I believe they'll play a 4-3-3 as they have done in previous games. Hugo Lloris starts in goal. For me, he's a phenomenal keeper on his day. Some of his saves are exceptional. There is always an argument that there is a mistake in the locker. I'm not convinced we'll see it from him in this game. I think West Ham can put him under pressure from set pieces if we get them. Souček, Angelo Ogbonna, Mikel Antonio, a number of our players are dominant in the air. Fabian Balbuena, you can add into that. So we can put pressure under him. Maybe we can force him to make a bit of a mistake, possibly a mistake as well from a final third pressure from one of the strikers. So we could force him into an error, but ultimately he's one of the better keepers in the league, and you can't really look past that too much. Matt Doherty coming from Wolves. I believe it was a little bit of a snip for Jose Mourinho to bring him into the side. Again, like I've mentioned, he is playing in this right back position. It isn't really what we've seen from him at Wolves when he was allowed to play a right wing back and bomb on, and he has got that attacking quality. So West Ham need to be wary of that in terms of that overload. I mean, I think we set up very, very nicely with Arthur down that side. And obviously you've got Creswell as a left centre-back, dealing with that threat. He will release space in behind. He will allow space for West Ham to get into. You'd be looking at someone like a Pablo Fornals to target that a little bit. Maybe Mikel Antonio, who can switch position and come on that left-hand side and cause him a few issues. I may expect to see that. But for me, the fullbacks for Spurs are a weak area. Not in terms of their physicality, but definitely in terms of their positional sense. Now let's go to the right side of the centre-back. Davinson Sanchez, I believe, will play. Eric Dyer is normally the first choice for this, but I believe he's out injured. Both him and Toby Alderweireld will play. I'm not massively... Toby Alderweireld has been a fantastic centre-back. When I watch Spurs play and I watch them two play, the mobility isn't really there. There is opportunities to get at them. If West Ham can draw them in, particularly with the likes of Mikel Antonio, come deep, force them into being aggressive. West Ham can create chances in behind with either Pablo Fornals off the left and maybe Bowen off the right. We can find the space, and Tottenham's back four, albeit on paper, looks solid. There are parts of their play where I think West Ham can really exploit them. And these two in particular, they're not the quickest. I think if we had Dyer on that side, I'd be looking to target him all day long. So, I mean, Tottenham may rely on the likes of Harry Winks and Højbjerg to kind of sit deep and support them, but we shall see. Then you've got Reguilon on the left-hand side. I think he's a phenomenal player, if I'm honest. Every time I've seen him for Sevilla, he bombs on. He's got great delivery, and I think he shot the Carabao Cup for Tottenham against Chelsea. He is a threat. I do think West Ham are set up to deal with it nicely. I know that there could be a potential link-up between Son and Reguilon, which is a little bit frightening. But Soufal's come in, he's done a fantastic job. He is used to playing right wing-back. Balbuena has been impressive in the last two games. It's about them communicating with each other, keeping it tight. I do believe West Ham can do that, particularly if you've got Souček and Rice sort of sitting in deep with both of them and cutting off the space and preventing the Spurs from getting forward on the counter, because they will look to do that at times. And West Ham have to be conservative in this game in order to nullify that threat. Now, I've watched Tottenham. I've seen them. I do believe they play with a double pivot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Harry Winks is obviously more of the passer in this system. He's not really defensively solid. He looks to keep the tempo. He looks to spray the play and get it to the wing backs and get it to the forward men. Of course, he's a good passer. Defensively, he could be got at. I just think system-wise, if they're playing 4-3-3 and West Ham are potentially at times sitting deep, Winks could have a lot of the ball. You might look on someone like Mikel Antonio to come into that position and put a little bit of pressure on him to break up their play. That is possible. But then alongside him, you have got that enforcer-like player in Højbjerg. I have been actually quite impressed with Højbjerg since he's come in. He quietly does his job. He's a physical presence in there. He is more of that sort of defensive midfielder. Even his passing range, I think we saw against Man United setting up Aurier. He has got quality as well in terms of pushing into that final third. I don't think we'll see it in this game. Maybe Mourinho may go for pushing that Spurs team a little bit more into the West Ham half because they know that they've got the advantage and the extra man in midfield. possible. And that's why I would look at both him and Winks as players that could try and get that ball to Harry Kane for him to turn in behind and maybe find a Son or a Bale. So I wouldn't look at West Ham maybe to target these two players. I do think they'll be influential, and it does make it really hard for West Ham if we're pushing central to find space amongst that double pivot, and they will protect Davinson Sanchez and Toby Alderweireld a lot throughout the game. On Ndombele, I've put in a more centre midfield role. For me, he's obviously not playing as a 10. He's not really a cam, but he's playing more advanced than the other two. Again, he's a strong runner of the ball. He carries the ball very well. I haven't seen a lot of Ndombele, particularly in a Spurs shirt, impressing. I think he's obviously made a bit of an impression on this side early doors this season. Got a goal against Man United. He'll look to drive the ball forward against Declan Rice and Thomas Souček, and he's the guy that you want to nullify, stop him from carrying the ball. If you can keep the ball more so amongst Winks and Højbjerg, you kind of preventing Spurs from moving into that West Ham half, and you just don't want Spurs to have that ball when they've got Son and Bale and Kane trying to move in behind. I think you look for someone like Declan Rice to nullify him early doors and to push Tottenham back and play in a more of a defensive style. Now, we've got to get to it. I really don't want to, but we will. The left side is going to be Heung-min Son for Tottenham. Unbelievable player. As a neutral, he's fantastic. His finishing and composure in front of goal. What I noticed with a lot of Tottenham's players, that interchangeability between him and Harry Kane. And they work with each other very, very well. Sometimes Son can drop deep and find Kane. Equally, when Son's got in behind, he's going to find Kane with the cutback. They work very well together. You've seen in the Southampton game, they read each other's game. They understand each other. West Ham need to be as conservative as possible to not allow this man to get in behind, because even if he's not a direct threat, if he's able to move that right side of the West Ham defence away from the structure, away from that organised, disciplined defence, then Kane is going to find space in behind, and it is up to the likes of Thomas Souček and Declan Rice to prevent Harry Kane from picking up those positions in the box or outside of the box where he can find space and get a shot off. And that's the issue with Tottenham's attack, albeit they're not a hugely offensive side and they don't play fast-flowing, attractive football. When you get it to those front three, the movement's fantastic and the work between them is brilliant. They can always find each other, and that's where the goal for it is going to be throughout the game. Harry Kane, what can you say? Listen, I mean, I put as a striker. I mean, technically he would set up as the front man, but we've seen him drop into a 10 role so many times. I did a preview with Hunter from 90 Min, and he said obviously there is a realization in Kane's play now that he's less so of a striker because he's lost that yard of pace, but he has become a little bit of a number 10, and we're seeing even when he doesn't have the space to latch onto balls in front of him, he can actually sit back, find space in the box and slot it away. And albeit he hasn't done it as much as you'd expect from Kane this season, he's such a threat. And I think particularly with that West Ham midfield, when you've got Ndombele pushing from one side, Kane maybe dropping in on Rice and Souček, they could have a lot of ball in front of the centre-backs. And that's what West Ham have to avoid. They have to try it and nullify Ndombele picking up the ball and finding Kane. And in particular, trying to prevent Son and Bale getting in behind, because Kane is such an accomplished striker with so many goals in the Premier League, and for Spurs, he will find space if at all, even if there's only a little bit of space. So West Ham have got to be disciplined. They've got to be aware. You have to nullify other areas, because otherwise Harry Kane, with the right service, will tuck it away. And then in the right wing, now obviously massively concerned about this bloke coming in and playing against West Ham. Gareth Bale signed on the loan deal from Real Madrid. We haven't seen a lot of Gareth Bale, in fairness, over the past season or so. If we're led to believe what the truth is, Casemiro come out from Madrid and said he's still one of the top 5 players in the world on his day. It's difficult to dispute. I mean, you look at his performances for Real Madrid over the years. Do I think he's the same player that he was for Tottenham when he left? Of course not. I think he possibly has lost a yard of pace. Maybe he's a little bit more intelligent with the pace that he uses. But I expect him to come off that right-hand side and cut him with his left. That's what he loves to do. Again, you can't give the guy too much space. I don't think he's going to, particularly against West Ham in this system, he's going to find too much space in behind. But you look at the quality of delivery, the possible link up with Harry Kane and Heung-min Son at the back post as well. He's going to be a threat all game. He has the quality to hurt West Ham. You'd hope that Arthur Masuaku does a little bit of a job on him, pushes him back into his own half. You've also got the worry that you've got Matt Doherty's going to bomb on and support him as well. So the worst thing I can imagine seeing is Doherty picking up the ball on the right and and sort of Bale coming into a little bit of a 10 and finding space, a little bit like Rodriguez does for Everton, because when that geezer gets it on his left foot, he's absolutely lethal. So those are the lineups. That is what I think is going to happen tomorrow. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Both teams have obviously been massively successful over the past few games. They look to keep the same sides. Obviously, Bale coming in is a huge difference. A little bit better quality, a lot better quality than Lucas Moura. And he's going to pick up different positions to Lucas Moura, probably more of it in a 10 role. And West Ham have got to watch out for it, particularly in that sort of space in front of the centre backs, because they've got so many options. And Ndombele, Bale, maybe you'll see Heung-min Son come in if Reguilon bombs down that left hand side. They could overload West Ham in front of the centre backs, and I'm interested to see how Moyes approaches it, whether he addresses it in terms of changing the system. Personally, I think if the system works, and it has done, and West Ham adopt a low block, we can soak up the pressure. Obviously not for the full 90, but we do need to take our chances when we get on the attack. There will be spaces in behind. We have to use our pace. You'll be looking at Declan Rice to put in a mammoth performance tomorrow, defensively, offensively, in terms of that transition. And you're going to have to get someone like Jarrod Bowen pushing back the likes of Reguilon, possibly Arthur doing the same on the left-hand side, and maybe Pablo finding a little bit of space in front of those two centre-backs. And Antonio will obviously be the main man for us here, in my opinion. So it will be a good game to see. I am looking forward to it. It is going to be a lot more competitive. Let me know in the comment section what you think is going to happen. Hopefully it's going to be a West Ham win. But yeah, obviously, until next time, take care.